Hi, this is Visitors Book and I'm Maija, your host. In this program, we're going to be meeting with diplomats and foreigners who live here in Pakistan, and we're going to find out what they really think about the country. So let's go. So our guest today is Birgit Lamm, Head of Country Office of Friedrich Naumann Foundation. So let's go meet with her. Hi Birgit, thank you so much for having me. So nice to see you.
Hello Maija, it's been a long time. We wanted to meet already before, but this COVID thing actually postponed the meeting. I'm really happy that we can have you now here now.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of which, let's use this wonderful sanitizer that your logo on. All right, so you're from Germany and you've been here for about a year now, right?
Correct. I came on the 1st of July last year, so it's nearly a year.
Yeah. And how have you liked it so far?
Well, actually, I've enjoyed my stay here very much.
Despite the coronavirus?
Despite the coronavirus, of course, I wanted to see more of the country. And also when you come as a new country director, the first thing you want to know is also you want to meet the country partners, you want to see a bit. And of course, after half a year, everything was put on hold. But I hope I can cover up for that.
Yeah, and I mean, this was actually not your first time to Pakistan. You came here already 10 years ago. How did that happen?
Well, in fact, 10 years ago, I served as director of the International Academy for Leadership in Germany. And we had lots of very good participants from Pakistan and also some outstanding Pakistani facilitators. And then the country director of the Pakistan office invited me over to Pakistan to help him kickstart an alumni network.
Oh, really?
And this is how I came to visit Pakistan for the first time in 2008, and then another time in 2009, and in 2010. I liked it a lot because I came 3 times.
Yeah? Wow. So Pakistan was very different back then, right? I mean, that was a time when there were a lot of security issues in the country. How did that person convince you to come here despite all those issues?
Well, actually, I didn't really feel too much concerned about it because my colleagues invited me over, and I felt sure if the people invite me, then it's also safe to come. And at the same time, I wanted to see for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, you had all this negative coverage in the European media, but the reality on the ground is never completely what the media tell you, because the media always go for breaking news, for the more exceptional things. And so for me, there was not even one single second I had to think about it.
Wow.
I wanted to come, I got the invitation, was very happy to come.
And you also got to meet a pretty interesting personality while you were here, Tawfiq Haider, who's a famous anchor.
In fact, I met Tawfiq already back in Germany when I was director of the International Academy for Leadership, because he was one of my facilitators. And of course, being a professional media person, he gave trainings on communication and media strategy. Yeah. So when I came here, it was great to have him here, and he wanted to show me his Pakistan. And it was such an amazing experience to go to Lahore with him. And back then in 2010, he introduced me to lots of artists and people who work in the cultural business. So it was an amazing experience.
And you mentioned you went to Lahore and Islamabad. Did you get to visit any other places at the time?
At that time, since it was always just a business trip, we stayed here in the area. So Islamabad was mainly visits to conference rooms and see places here, but of course we went up to Monal and we admired the beautiful view on Islamabad. We went to Lahore, I went to Murray and the Gullies, because these are very popular places where you can do a workshop.
Yeah,
it's quick to go to, and people are away from their daily work and you can really focus on the work. So I really enjoyed these places.
So then when you came back now 1 year ago, was it something you always felt like you wanted to come back to Pakistan, or it was more of a coincidence that you were offered this position and you were like, okay, great?
Well, I mean, the time I was director at the academy, I came to Pakistan was 10 years ago. So, life takes its path, and I did different things, but the foundation offered this job to me because they knew that I'd been to Pakistan before, that I liked the place, and when I got the job offer, I was very happy about it, and I didn't really have to think a lot about it. It was just getting some basic information from colleagues, see some organizational things, and I was very happy to accept.
What would you say was the main change or difference that you observed to the Pakistan you experienced 10 years ago?
Well, of course, Pakistan got much more modern. And the very first thing that struck me was, in fact, when I arrived, because I arrived at the new airport and not at the old airport. So the new airport is obviously a completely different structure. It's modern, it's very transparent, and it already shows you a different aspiration of the country. Islamabad has grown bigger, of course. And also Lahore has changed a lot. Lahore has always been one of my favorite places because it's this beautiful historic cultural place. And 10 years ago there were no flyovers. There was also no metro there. And also the traffic was less, of course. But I feel, yes, there's been a lot of development going on.
So you've worked in a lot of different countries, right? How did your journey with FNF get started?
Well, in fact, I joined FNF in 1993, shortly after taking my master's degree in linguistics. And I sent my papers to organizations which were active in international work, because it was always my dream to work in an international environment. And I started my career being the PA of the director of the international department. And then I moved on through different stages till I became director of the International Academy for Leadership from 2006 to 2012, where I met Tawfiq Haider, where I met all the Pakistanis. And from there then my life took on a more international perspective, in the way that I didn't work with internationals in Germany then, but then I started working abroad as well. And then I was posted to Mexico for 5.5 years, and from Mexico I came straight to Pakistan.
How, I mean, you know, you wouldn't immediately say that Mexico and Pakistan are very similar countries, at least maybe culturally, but would you say there are some similarities between the two?
Well, of course, these are two completely different cultures, different landscapes, different flavors. But if you dig a bit deeper, yes, you also find some similarities. Both countries are emerging democracies. And I think this is, at least for someone who's from Central Europe, quite surprising, is that it's much more important to have personal relationships than to work with institutions.
Right.
So if you just want to get something done, or you want to do business, you don't just write a formal letter to someone. If you want to get something done, you need to establish a personal contact first.
You have to go and meet with them and have tea, at least in Pakistan.
Yes, tea or coffee, and at least 3 cups.
What about, like, in terms of your daily life? How different was that in Mexico compared to Islamabad?
Well, Mexico City is a mega city, 25 million inhabitants squeezed into a valley. So the contamination, the hustle and bustle, and the daily traffic collapse was just part of the daily routine. And when I came here to Pakistan, it was a complete relief, because here in Islamabad, it's green, it's quiet, you have open spaces, and most of the places I can reach within 15 minutes. So that's a real luxury that you don't have in most of the capitals in the world. Yeah,
like the commute can take like an hour at least, or
at least.
Yeah, wow. So where are you from in Germany, actually?
Well, I'm from the western part of Germany, from a town in North Rhine-Westphalia, from the industrial belt.
It's like a smaller town, not like a big city.
It's a smaller town of 100,000 inhabitants. close to the beer brewing city of Dortmund, which is also very famous for its football team, which plays in the first league. And this is where my home is.
Yeah. So what would you say inspired you to work in a field like this where you get to travel to so many different countries all over the world?
I've always loved traveling, and already as a student I read books about discoveries, about different countries, and my parents also traveled a lot with me in Europe, so that was part of my life, and this is also why I studied modern languages, because I was always fascinated by international relations and different countries.
Yeah. You spent quite a lot of time also living in Germany and working there. Yeah. Would you say you prefer being in Germany or abroad?
Well, I think it's something that depends a bit also on your personal situation and in which phase of your life you're actually in.
True.
Germany is a good and safe place to work, but it also has very rigid structures that you move in.
Yeah.
So if you really like to explore things like myself, I just wanted to get out of it and explore other things in my life.
Yeah.
So having such a position like working and living here in Pakistan, right now it's just perfect for me, because I can do a job I feel really passionate about, and at the same time I can do what I like, which is exploring a different country.
Exactly. Perfect combination.
It's perfect.
And aside from Mexico and Pakistan, you've also gotten to visit a lot of different countries. Would you say there's one that's really stood out for you?
Well, it's really hard to compare them, because they're all so different, and you should appreciate them in the way how they are.
Yeah.
I loved Mexico so much because it's got ancient culture, it's got lots of colors and traditions, and an amazing way of how people live with these traditions and form it into something new. And this is really what inspires me a lot, when you can draw back on ancient traditions and how people transform it into a modern lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
This is also something which I saw very much in Eastern Asia, and I'm also very interested to see how the Pakistanis go about this. And this is also why I like Lahore so much, because it's got this very established traditions, but it's a very cultural place with a college of arts and all these intellectuals, the universities.
Exactly.
So I really do hope to visit Lahore again and see what it's like now.
All right, time to take a short break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here in conversation with Birgit Lamm of FNF. So let's talk about the foundation a little bit now. When was it founded and why?
Well, the Friedrich Naumann Foundation is one of 6 German political foundations. Our foundation was founded in Germany in 1958 in the aftermath of World War II. And the idea of the founding fathers of our foundation was to establish an institution which promotes democratic values, to make sure that something like the horrible Nazi dictatorship will never ever happen in Germany again.
Yeah. And what is its particular mission in countries outside of Germany, and how does it aim to achieve these goals?
Well, our mission is the same everywhere in the world. We want to promote democratic values, and our philosophy is to promote a political and also a social environment that allows everybody to be the pilot of their lives, be responsible for what he does, but also have the opportunities to achieve that. So everybody should have the possibility to realize their project of life. And this is basically what we do until today in Germany and internationally as well.
Okay. And how do you approach these issues? Do you conduct workshops? Do you work mainly with the local people at the grassroots level, or is it more working with institutions?
Well, we do actually all of it, because basically what we do is an educational work.
Okay.
So we approach citizens, we approach civil society organizations, but of course, if you want to influence political and social developments, you need to talk to decision makers as well. So we approach stakeholders and we get them together to discuss how to develop their countries, because of course we cannot tell anybody what to do. People need to take their own decisions, and we want to empower them, give them the tools to take these decisions. So it's basically empowering individuals to be self-reliant and to be responsible for themselves. This is what we do.
Okay. And how long has there been an office here in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, we've been around since 1986.
Okay.
So it's already been a long time that the foundation feels committed to developing a peaceful and progressive Pakistan.
What are some of the areas that you focus on here?
Well, obviously, we would like to empower people to have a say in their own lives. So for us, local sustainable governance is very important.
What does that mean in practice, and why is it important?
Well, normal citizens, I mean, that's the same, I think, everywhere in the world, meet the government and officials in their own towns or villages. And the very first thing is you require services from the state. Maybe you go to an office because you need a new passport, you would like to apply for a new CNIC, or you apply for your driving license. And then we want the public service delivery to be really good, because every government in the world doesn't have its own money. They don't earn their money. They work with taxpayers' monies, and this is the money that people more or less voluntarily give to the state. So we feel there needs to be a communication dialogue between public officials and the citizens about what they really need, and then that the services provided by the government and the state are the best the citizens can get. So this is, on the one hand, that we want to sensitize people for what their rights are, what the government should be about. At the same time, we also talk to public officials to sensitize them for the needs of the citizens, and provide platforms where the two of them meet to really exchange ideas so that the government can really respond to the needs of the people.
Okay.
And this is what we call local governance, not government.
Right.
So we want more governance, which means stakeholder dialogue and a bit less government.
Yeah. So aside from that, what else do you focus on?
Well, apart from local governance, another strong point for us is human and civil rights. And we also work on social market economy and small and medium-sized business development.
Okay.
Because we feel if you want to have a stable democracy, all these things need to go together.
Yeah.
And rule of law means not only that you have an extensive legal code. I think Pakistan has a very comprehensive code of laws, and also in certain areas a very modern codified law, but at the same time, very often the implementation, access to justice is a completely different issue. And if you have rights, first of all, you need to know that you have rights. Then you need to access justice, you need to know who to approach in order to claim your rights. And then, of course, you need to be treated accordingly. So what we do in that respect, we focus very much on vulnerable groups who always find it difficult to gain access to claim their rights. And here in Pakistan, we specifically focus on women and on minorities. And we are currently running a program in Sindh, for example, where our partner Sherry works with minority women. And informing them about their rights, especially in family and civil law.
Right.
And then also informing them about where to turn to if they do have issues.
Exactly.
And at the same time, we will also train public officials to sensitize them for the needs of these minority women, because very often also these people are hesitant to approach the authorities with their queries. And then in the end, we would also like to establish a dialogue among them so that this situation can be improved. So this is one part that we do. Another thing which is on our plan for the rest of the year is we've commissioned a study on the performance of women parliamentarians here in Pakistan. And this is supposed to be the base for a discussion we would like to have with political leaders on political participation of women as well.
Yeah, very important.
And a third part, which we are going to do with women, is about the use of digital technologies, which also comes in as a very important point right now in these COVID times.
Yeah.
Digitalization is a huge issue for everyone. And we found everywhere in the world that cyber harassment has increased. So what we do is, in general, teaching citizens, but also teachers, especially to inform the young people about how they can protect their digital privacy.
Okay. Like in schools, basically.
In schools, for example, but also informing parents about it. And of course the teenagers themselves, because everybody is so enthusiastic about the possibilities that you have with the social media, that very often the dangers are left behind.
Right.
So that people actually know how to protect their privacy and also know how to deal with the information that they get from the internet. And right now in these COVID times, we also know there is a lot of fake news and false information floating around. So you also need media literacy to know how to deal with this variety of things that you get to learn or to know in the internet. So this is another very important point that we do.
Yeah. You've also been doing some work with regard to climate change, which is very, hot topic these days. Maybe not so much now with COVID, but it's still something that's being discussed. What exactly have you been doing about the issue here?
Well, I feel here in Pakistan, the issue of climate change last year with Greta Thunberg raising a global campaign about it has caught the attention especially of the young people, and rightly so, because Pakistan basically is a river oasis, and most of its water supplies, for example, depend on the Indus River basin. Yeah. And everybody who lives here or has lived here for a while knows how difficult it is for everybody to get the water supply they need. You have the overabundant rainfalls during the monsoon season when we have floods, and then you have the dry season when very often, especially the farmers in agriculture, don't know where to get the water from. So there is a huge need for people to use their climate resources wisely. Yeah. Because the water is not going to increase, but the population is still growing.
Exactly.
So a growing demand for natural resources, which are not going to grow, really puts a lot of stress in the system, and we need to use our system wisely and also know how to save these resources. And this is also an issue of education. So we've focused on developing materials for school teachers and for school children as well. This is a completely new topic which hasn't been taught in teacher training. And a lot of teachers, especially female teachers, are very interested in having this material. And we've also designed material in a very visual way so that it's attractive with the children. And we hope that the children And I don't know of any children who are not passionate about animals or plants and nature.
Yeah.
So we want these children to go home and actually teach their parents and teach their families.
Yeah.
So this is a huge issue that we do. We also run workshops for journalists so that they can do their reporting with a better background knowledge about climate change and environmental issues.
Excellent.
And we focus also on mobility issues because Islamabad is very privileged with its wide roads and its comparatively low traffic, but Lahore or Karachi, the things are already completely different. So there's also a lot of congestion, there's contamination, simply because there are too many people in one place. And we're discussing also new ways of organizing traffic, organizing public transport to make the cities more livable, because this is where people earn their money. So they will still go to the big cities. But at the same time, they also need to stay healthy and the cities need to be livable. So we currently also have some projects which we organize with our partner Sherry and with the cooperation of students from Karachi universities who actually research issues of mobility and livable and also walkable cities.
Okay.
And now with this whole COVID situation, of course, the difficulty is a different one. Everywhere in the world we used to promote public transport in favor of individual cars. But now with this whole infection issue, we also need to rethink how to use public transport. So this is exciting. We integrate these parts into our programs, of course. Yeah. But I feel it's very important after COVID still to think about these long-term projects as well.
Absolutely.
Because my personal belief is Pakistan has been through so many troubles and crises. It's an incredibly resilient country and they've survived it, and I'm pretty sure they are going to survive it. But climate change is the real issue which might put the country at risk, because if the resources and the water supply is not there, you cannot survive without water for more than 2 days.
Exactly.
So this will create a pressure for migration from the rural areas to the cities and so on. So if there's one burning issue, long-term issue, which might not be as exciting and as explosive as some political issues, but I feel climate change is the issue which future generations really need to focus on, not only in Pakistan.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a short break. I'll see you when we come back. Welcome back. I'm here in conversation with Birgit Lamm of FNF. So let's talk a little bit about coronavirus. How has it impacted your work here? Have you had to take all your events online or cancel some of them or postpone travels and stuff like that?
Well, like everybody and every organization, of course, Corona was something that nobody ever imagined before.
Exactly.
And it really hit us on the wrong foot first, since we're in education and our work basically depends on networking and interchange with politicians, decision makers. Of course, we really had to rethink the way how we work. And we had to cancel face-to-face seminars, events, and of course, trips were not possible anymore. So we had to go online, of course. Fortunately, we did have some online activities before that as well, and we are working on digitalization, so we could draw on that experience as well. But we had to move a lot of our activities from hotel and meeting rooms to the digital space.
Was that challenging?
Sure. It was challenging in the way that we had to make sure that our partners and our target groups also have access to the internet.
Exactly.
I mean, here in Islamabad and we ourselves, we are blessed with all the equipment that we can have. But there's still a connectivity issue in the country, and not everybody has the same access to the internet or has the latest high-end laptops to really work with it. So we had to take a low-tech approach and at the same time try to motivate people to use the online media. But fortunately, Pakistan is a young country and young people are very tech-savvy. So a lot of our target groups really took up this issue very enthusiastically. So now instead of having panel discussions in hotels, we do digital web conferences. Of course, some of our activities we have changed. We focus on doing studies, content development, and reformatting also some workshops. But still, I found it very impressive how a lot of our local counterparts were still very enthusiastic to go out in the field, to work with their neighborhoods, and we provided them with the necessary safety kits, with a face mask, with the sanitizers. And then they were still happy to work in their neighborhoods and do the jobs that they felt passionate about. So our work is still going on. And I feel people here in Pakistan are very resilient.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much more resilient very often than Europeans, because we feel that everything should go as smoothly as planned. Here in Pakistan, people are used to jugaad.
Yeah.
And that's what they are really good at. And I feel they show it now admirably well.
So have you done any work specifically related to COVID with the foundation now? Have you started some projects or something like that?
Well, we've integrated COVID into our work, but I don't really feel that a lot of the topics have really changed so much. As I've told you before, we worked on digitalization. Now, since everybody has gone online, I think this issue has become even more pressing. And the issues that we've been talking about before, like data privacy, access to information, transparency of information, they are now even more pressing.
Exactly.
So we can still work on these issues. We have to do it in a bit of a different way, but we still do it. And also the issues of human and civil rights, they are still around.
Absolutely.
Minorities and women still need protection. Maybe COVID-19 has brought a different aspect to their situation, but the situation is still around. And also the economic situation has changed dramatically, of course, because everywhere in the world, the economy was on lockdown. And now I hope that everybody has really realized that how important it is to have a stable economy and to give people a good opportunity to earn their own living. So in a way, I feel that COVID really hammers home some powerful lessons about these issues as well, and also about governance issues. So that you need to have clear responsibilities. You need to have good access to information to cope with this crisis. And I feel also everybody knows it now. So I hope at least that this gaming or trying to find excuses why things don't work, which you find in lots of political situations, has really now gone down to you need to do what is really necessary. But talking about COVID, of course, it has changed the way how we communicate with our partners. And normally here in Pakistan, you really need to meet people personally. Really important issues are always discussed over a cup of tea or maybe 2 or 3 cups of tea. And we couldn't do that for 3 months now. And that's really a pity for me, because it has really slowed me down and making relationships with people and friends and the partners of the foundation. And I felt really sorry that, for example, at the end of Ramadan this year, we weren't even able to send out our traditional Ramadan greeting cards because there was no mailing service available. And also the printing houses didn't even have paper because there were some disruptions in the supply chains. So now we've come up with another idea, which I was really happy about. And within our team, we devised our COVID-19 safety box.
Oh, wow.
So since it's still for lots of people here in Pakistan difficult to get good quality face masks and buy the hand sanitizers, we compiled this little box, which to our friends comes with good quality face masks.
Oh, amazing.
And a hand sanitizer, which if you use it in an economical way, might serve you for a month. And of course with a greeting card. And what I feel really very proud about, this is a Zoom message card, because we've all learned how to work and move in the digital space, but very often you forget to unmute yourself on Zoom.
That's
so
amazing.
The greeting card is also environmental friendly.
Perfect.
Because it's not only a greeting card, it's got a purpose, you're going to keep it. So here it says unmute yourself, so you're more proficient on Zoom, and you've got these safety kits for moving around, and it also comes with a publication of our foundation.
Excellent.
So that you have for the social distance time at home also something to do, to read and to remember us. So I would also like to give you
thank you
one
so
of
much.
them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So now it can go on the table.
Yeah. So what about personally your life here in Pakistan? I mean, it must have stopped you from doing quite a bit. Did you have some hobbies before Corona that you had to stop? Have you come up with some new activities?
So my job required me to attend a lot of evening events, receptions and functions, and now with COVID this is all gone.
Exactly.
So in one way it's a sad thing, because I really loved going out meeting people, but at the same time it gives me free time. So I have a real free evening, and I've rediscovered some things that I used to do before. So I love cooking, and over the last years I wasn't even able to really do it and enjoy it myself. So now I cook my own food, I enjoy it.
Nice.
I do a lot of reading, and I'm really happy that my house is very close to Said's book bank. So whenever I've finished a book, I can immediately get a new one.
Exactly.
That's very nice as well. And I'm a great outdoor person, so I'm very happy to go out on the trails of the Margala Hills. And since now the traffic is down, I also enjoy using my bike to go to the bakery. So in this way, I think I'm pretty good still, doing exercise, enjoying myself here in Islamabad. And this green, beautiful place is really a good place to survive Corona.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. You've also started learning Urdu. Was that something you started during the lockdown or already before that?
Well, actually, the lockdown helped me to find the space and the time to do it. But the plan was around already before that. I'm a linguist, so learning languages is a passion for me. And it's also a gateway to people and to ideas.
And the culture.
And the culture. So I really enjoyed it. I've been taking classes only since April now. But I already feel I can read some billboards. I can buy my vegetable at the local sabziwala in Urdu, and I was very happy. I placed my order and he actually understood me and gave me what I wanted to have. So apparently that was pretty okay.
Awesome.
So I feel a bit safer in that respect. I mean, here in Islamabad, for my normal way of life, I don't really need a lot of Urdu because people speak good English. Outside of Islamabad, things change. Then suddenly, if you go to a village close to Bari Imam, for example, there is no billboard in English anymore.
Exactly.
And I would like to be able to find my way around outside of Islamabad as well. And I also feel my Pakistani friends, whenever they talk among themselves, they speak Urdu, of course. And when I join them, everybody, because they are very polite, changes to speaking English. And personally, I have to say, I feel a bit embarrassed about that people change a language just because I'm coming. Of course, learning a language new, it will take me quite a while to be confident to really join in a conversation Urdu, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's my hobby. And hopefully, inshallah, before I leave Pakistan, I'll be able to have this conversation Urdu with my friends.
Inshallah. Have you found it difficult, the language?
It's different, but I've learned several European languages, and for me it's really exciting to learn my first non-European language. And of course, it's a different system, but I feel also it's very exciting to see how many similarities you still find when
they are
you compare
related.
different languages. So for me, it's a great experience.
Excellent. So before COVID, you must have gotten to travel around Pakistan at least a little bit before the lockdown came. Do you have any favorite trips that you like to remember, or any favorite areas? You mentioned Lahore.
Well, Lahore is obviously one of the most beautiful hubs in this city, in this country, and it's an amazing city with its culture and the vibe that the city has. But I've also enjoyed the other provincial capitals. I was absolutely amazed by the bazaars in Peshawar. I like the vibe of the media industry in Karachi, and I love the Saji in Quetta. So I really have seen already quite some things. The trip I like to remember best is actually the trip that I've just taken 2 weeks ago. I went with a friend on a jeep trip to explore Kanpur Lake and Tabela Lake, and also explore a bit the mountains, the hills around it. And it was really amazing to see the old Mughal mosques, Sufi shrines, and also some old Buddhist excavations from the Gandhara culture, and see the hospitality of the villagers. So that's really something that I like to remember a lot.
Awesome. And you've also gotten to go to a Pakistani wedding. How was that experience?
I went only to the Barat of a colleague, so I didn't see the complete ceremony for professional reasons. Yes, I missed the dancing part. I was really amazed about the preparations that go into a Pakistani wedding and the size of it, because it's not just a family party, it's a complete festival.
Exactly.
It's a folk festival for a whole village, for colleagues, for friends. And I just hope with all the good vibes that go into the preparation and the festivities that it's going to be a long and happy life together for the colleagues where I had the possibility to attend the wedding.
So how long do you think you'll stay in Pakistan still?
Well, my contract is for 2 more years.
Okay.
So hopefully I'm looking forward to 2 more exciting years where I can learn a bit more about the country, learn Urdu, and move the work of the foundation forward together with our colleagues and friends. And let's see, maybe I will also have the opportunity to stay on a bit longer. I would be happy to extend my stay.
Great. Okay, then it's time for our rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Shalwar kameez or Western clothes?
Shalwar kameez.
Couldn't agree more. Lahore or Karachi?
Lahore.
That was obvious. Cycling or hiking?
Cycling.
All right. Zugspitze or K2?
K2, of course.
Yeah. Mangoes or apples?
Mangoes.
Sauerbraten or chicken biryani?
Chicken biryani.
Yeah. First thought that comes to your mind when I say Anarkali Bazaar, Lahore?
Colors, flavors, oriental vibe.
True. Hunza?
My next travel destination.
Hopefully. Berlin Wall?
A sign of freedom because it's gone.
Good answer. Rohtas Fort?
Also my next destination.
Mexico City or Islamabad?
Islamabad.
Really?
Yeah. This is my new home.
Yeah. The best thing about Pakistan?
It's people.
Great answer. All right, then it's time for you to sign our visitor's book.
Thank you so much. Do you have a pen?
Yes, it's all the way.
You'll be able to.
Okay, let's see what you wrote. Thank you for your great hospitality and kindness. I will take Pakistan with me wherever I go. Great. And I hope you continue to have a wonderful time in Pakistan. Thank you so much.
I will. Thank you so much for giving me the space, and hope to see you again. You're always welcome here.
Thank you so much. That's it for today. Please join me again next week, and don't forget to follow us on our social media handles at indus.news. Stay safe, stay home. Goodbye.